All right. We've had a lot of talks about this path in the math and being able to clearly articulate a concept to a person, right? So we have to learn the theories. We have to learn the math behind what we're doing sometimes. Have you guys heard of unearned equity? What does that mean?
I don't know, but I have heard.
You've heard
this.
it? Okay.
I've heard this.
It's kind of a newer thing that we're hearing.
Isn't it like when you buy a house, you already have the equity in it?
No, but you earned it by having equity in it, but you're on the right path. Go ahead, going.
But you're purchasing it and you purchase it for less than it's actually worth.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, it was smart buying, right?
Right.
But it was unearned because you didn't put money into it or time into it, right? Equity is, what is equity? Somebody tell me what equity in a house is.
It's the value of your house absent what you owe on it.
Bingo. So how do we explain unearned equity to somebody? So I have a whole example of, we're gonna take a house and a situation, and we're gonna run some comps on it, and then we're gonna go through the entire math. Do you guys think that'll be of value to you today? Awesome. So this is, you're gonna have to play with me here. You're gonna have to, I'm gonna ask questions, you're gonna have to throw math at me. Lucky for you, we did the math already, so if you're wrong, I'm gonna tell you you're wrong. In 2020, what was going on in our market? COVID.
A lack of.
Like it went
Yeah.
crazy.
It was crazy. It wasn't crazy to the point where we were already overpaying. We were just, there was this fear.
And interest rates happened.
Interest rates were crazy because we were in a world pandemic. We were on the verge of shutting down. We were seeing New York and California. We're insulated in Missouri. We didn't really know what was going on. But people still had to buy, right? People weren't just buying for funsies. They had to buy, and there was no inventory, right? So what happens when you have to buy and there's no inventory? What do?
Where's your offer?
No. I have to buy a house. There's not a lot of options.
I've heard of people just going and offering people cash for their house and being like, I'll pay you 100,000 for your house.
You guys are thinking way too big.
The price,
Rent.
the price goes up.
Nope, no, you guys are way bigger thinkers. You settle for a house. Let's dumb it down. You guys are too big brained in here tonight.
It's settle.
You settle, right? I have to buy, there's only 5 houses. I have to pick a house. I'm probably gonna settle, right? And then once I settled, the interest rates did some crazy things. 1%, 2%, 3% was about a standard. So now I feel handcuffed to that house a little bit, right? Because I can't get out of that interest rate. Have you heard people talk about this recently? I mean, I'm guilty. I said it to my husband the other day. I was like, we're never gonna leave because you can't ever get this interest rate again. And I said, well, but I love the house, so I'm gonna die here. So that's a totally different situation. But I'm gonna show you how you can explain to somebody how that interest rate doesn't really matter and how they have this crazy amount of equity that they wouldn't think that they have in the house already. Cool? All right, so we're gonna use an example. And if you've got computers, play along. And if not, I've done all the hard work for you. So who knows where Ravenwood community is? Over here, there's, huh?
I hear you say it a lot. but
I love
yes.
Ravenwood. And when I first got into real estate, it was the hot bit to go to Ravenwood. Everybody wants Ravenwood, right? And it's comprised of, older houses, 50, 60, mainly 70 style houses, not 50s, I'm sorry. Mainly 70 style houses. And then people were getting out and then coming in and remodeling. And that's where you saw these crazy flippings and things like that happen, where it's all like modern farmhouse, okay? So this particular person bought this house in 2018 and did a little bit of work to it, maintained it, pride of ownership, things like that, and decided that they outgrew the house, so it was time to go. They also decided to do this in the middle of a pandemic, okay? So they closed on this house about 2 weeks before the world shut down. Closed on this and bought something else. So I'm going to show you some pictures really quick. So you can kind of get an idea of what this house is kind of looking like. Ravenwood's cool because there's these, they're not all the same, right? They're not that little cute 322 with the garage on the front. A lot of them have character. Some of them are charming. this one wasn't crazy updated or anything like that, but clean and fresh and
Yeah.
sellable, right? Agreed?
Clean
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so big.
So,
And there's not a lot of stuff everywhere, which is big.
right?
Right.
They shoved it all in the garage. It's totally fine. Okay, so cool tree house. Anywho, so this house was then sold for, I think it went on the market for 200,000. They got 203 for it. And let's look, I don't love price per square footage, but for the sake of this exercise, we're gonna kind of look at the price per square foot. $87 a square foot. Guess what, guys? They weren't sure if they could sell it for $87 a square foot because that's the market we were coming out of, right? $100 a square foot must be new construction back then, okay? Obviously, they did sell it in multiple offers and they picked one that had the best terms for them and they sold it in one day. Okay, so this house was then sold in 2020 for $87 a square foot in the amount of 203,000. And they made money on that house in the short time that they were there. From 2018 to 2020, they made a couple tens of thousands of dollars on it.
That's life-changing money though. Like we talk about it casually, but that's life-changing money.
Right, because it afforded them the ability to go upgrade their lifestyle because their kids got bigger and it's a 70s house, so you could hear everything that was going on upstairs, right? You roll in the bed, you can hear it. So for them, that was life-changing money. They were able to get into something that had more room. Okay, cool. So they had a good sale. Yeah, agreed? Awesome. Now let's talk about the people who bought this house. So they bought this house. They had to buy this house. There was not a lot of options. It's a good house and it fits for them. So let's run the comps and see what they could sell today. Okay. But before we do that, I want to talk about home value increasing year over year. Okay, we talked about this at the buyer seminar last night, so high five to those of you who showed up for that. Now, there you are. What did you learn happened year over year on a national level for home increases? Christina, what is that number?
Increase, 4% increase national standard
Year
year.
over year, yeah, at least a 4% on a national average. Does anybody remember in 2022 what that number was? That was there last night.
12%.
12% increase. And then what was 2023 so far? 7% increase. Okay, so unearned equity, let's just think about that because we're not talking any money in the house. We're just talking over the appreciation of the house in the last couple of years. We're not even taking into account 2020 or 2021. I'm just looking at 2022 and 2023. So if you take 203, let's see here. All right,
Maybe your calculator.
well, I kind of did it already, but go ahead and do the math.
Great talks.
All right, so in 2022, we know that the house went from 203 and added 12%. Okay, so we started at 203,000. We added 12% appreciation to that, which gave us what, 24,360? Okay. So then the price went to 22,760. Right? Just for being not knocked down, right? Just for a natural appreciation. All right, so then let's add another 7% to this. Plus 7%, that gave us an extra 15,915, which gave us a total of 243,275. So we're saying naturally, worst case scenario, the house has increased $40,000, right? So now you already have 40K. Again, this is an exercise. Maybe my numbers aren't perfect. I urge you to go through this in real time with real houses, but this is a good example, okay? So when we looked at today's comps, which again, it's kind of a unique house, so it's kind of hard to run comps. So I did it the cheater way and I just pulled the area, really kept the search narrow, and I found a couple of houses to see kind of where they're going. The most expensive one I found was a 330. No way would it have gone from 203 to 330, right, guys? Maybe it would, I don't know. But if I'm looking here at this 240, which this is right about here, let's see if this house compares.
It's a
It's more dated, right? And let's assume that people updated things. Maybe they got rid of all the carpet. Maybe they did some cool colors in the house. Who knows, right? And it's a unique style, and that is a killer treehouse. Okay, that sells, I promise. All right, but this kitchen is way outdated, right? And this was a comp from this year. Okay, so we know it's probably gonna be better than that. Agreed? Because our people have updated the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree or disagree? More than likely, okay. This one's a 330. This one's probably nicer, right? We assume, okay? So it's probably not 330.
Why?
Right? I can smell you. No, all right, so as we go through some of these comps, what we did is, this one's probably kind of close as far as style goes, but really it's not because it's totally different, right? But, so you can see Ravenwood comps are a little bit trickier to pull just because each house is so unique and different. So I'm gonna cheat and just kind of do an average of the price per square foot, just to kind of see if they're coming in around. And we all know I hate using price per square foot as a reason, as a number. Why? Because a Rolls Royce weighs the same as maybe a, I don't know, give me a car that weighs as much as a Rolls Royce.
I think Rolls Royces are pretty heavy cars, so.
Okay,
Suburban.
but let's say a Honda and a Lexus weigh the same. Is that fair?
Out of
Are
curiosity,
they worth the same? Hold on. Is a Honda and a Lexus worth the same money because they weigh the same? No. Is it a good metric that we can double check our numbers with and give an average? Yes, but is it an exact science? No.
no, not an exact sign, but if you've looked through the pictures, right, you try to closely compare as much as possible and you get a rough price per square foot, right? You know, say, because we always try to give a range, right? And if you go price per square foot, that does allow for more, right? She's also, somebody is saying something in the chat.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious. No, because
I don't like using square foot as a, I think like a lot of sellers will say, well, I'm just gonna do the math because that's the easy button.
No, and not by any means different with pictures, but I find it interesting that you and I get such similar numbers doing such different methods.
Yes, because we're all gonna get there the same way,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna hang my hat on price per square foot ever. But I'm gonna use it as a system of checks and balances to see kind of where I am. We all have seen me run my crazy comps and we're gonna get to the same number, but I have to mentally do it differently so I can understand it, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, and if anybody sees something on the chat, let me know because I'm not paying
Somebody
attention to
did
that.
say their home is under contract right now.
They're about
It-
20 something.
Yeah, I couldn't see it all. It was a longer chat.
Okay, cool. Tori, I'll have you check that out. So if we're just gonna like, for the sake of time, look at the average price per square foot, we went ahead and looked at these 5 houses that were as close as we could get with the comps that I pulled very quickly. And we came up with about 136 a square foot. That was the average between the houses that had sold, okay? So you're telling me from 2020 to today, we went from $87 a square foot to 136 a square foot.
About 3.
313, because it's 2,200, it's almost 2,300 square feet, this house is.
Okay, I thought it was,
What year
I
was
did
the
2,200,
first
I'm
one?
sorry.
The first one was 2020, early, what, March of 2020. And then today, based on just really, again, guys, rough numbers, don't run.
So where would you price it if you were gonna list it?
Probably about 300, 290
Yeah.
to 300.
To be conservative, right?
Yep, because I'm in this market, I want to hit right below where the market's at. But let's for round numbers, say 300, is that fair?
Mhm.
And if anybody disagrees, please shut your mouth.
No, because even doing price per square foot, you know, to be
Yeah.
conservative, because you want to keep old fire poles, right? So that's.
Everybody, you're gonna, when we do comps, everybody does it a little bit different, yeah?
Mhm.
We've kind of
So-
seen, Jordan does it, I do it, you do it.
Yeah.
At 300,000, what's the price per square foot?
You tell me. I mean,
what was it?
200,000 divided by 2290.
131, Mom, which I would have
Okay,
said
so
131.
how is that not relevant when you're helping somebody?
I didn't say it wasn't relevant. I said I don't hang my hat on it.
Price per square foot a lot, and I think my buyers like that because it helps them have a frame of reference for the house that they're looking
But we
at.
always give them a range. We don't say
Right,
it's
I
it's
did.
specific, and she's just saying, don't, you know.
Don't
because-
lock yourself into
Right.
something.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So I can look at a house that smells like cat pee and it's awful and whatever.
Yeah, say this
And
one,
then the
right?
same one I promise didn't smell like cat pee. And maybe they come in at the same price per square foot. right? Or how about when we're looking at a 6,000 square foot home? Does price per square foot really matter as much? Nope, doesn't matter. 10,000 square foot home, can you really?
Acres, right?
Right, doesn't matter, right? Because it's, you got all these different things. So if we're talking like a standard 322 average house on market, you can probably rely a little bit heavier on that. You'll probably come to the same number, but I'm not only gonna use that metric. Fair?
Absolutely.
I think that's a good point. If it's a cookie cutter house in a cookie cutter subdivision, then yeah, price per square foot is probably a very relevant matrix. But when it's a unique house or a unique setting or whatever.
Or a lot of square feet. Okay, so $100 a square foot for a 10,000 square foot home. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, right? So,
We've seen it just because.
and
you know,
I
you can't go
encourage
crazy.
I encourage the communication. So don't think that I'm like, shut it.
No, but I had a 9,000, square foot barn and mini, or house, really, it was a 2-bedroom on one side, really gorgeous, but that living space was 1,500 and the 7,000 square feet in the shop. And you can't price it per square foot like that. And it killed it immediately. And that was my old brokerage necessarily. So I think it's fair to say not price per square foot on everything, for
Yeah.
sure.
Cool. Okay. So we've landed at about 131 a square foot and about 300,000 to be competitive in the market. Okay. So let's kind of walk through. Do we have an eraser? We do. Let's walk through a few numbers here. So we bought the house for what? I say 203, right? And now it's worth 300,000. Okay. Let's say, let's minus 8% off of this. 8% is going to take care of your realtor fees, your repairs, closing costs, incidentals. Is that fair to say? We're in a 6% market. It's high, but let's surprise and delight our people, okay? That should give us 24,000. Meaning we're left over with 276, check my math. Yeah, okay. Now, these particular people have a couple years in, let's say they went in with 0 down because they were VA. So they probably owe somewhere in the range of 173,000, give or take.
Whoa, hold on. You're saying they paid down $30,000?
From 2020 to
If they
2023.
put 20% down necessarily.
No,
Well,
they didn't even
zero.
put money down.
Well, then do
and
the math. What is it?
Why wouldn't they pay off?
Maybe
Because
it's
we've
VA.
had ours, what, a year and a
No,
half.
if there was no
ago, and we haven't
interest,
paid.
maybe you're right, but I
Well,
think they owe right at 200,000.
At 2%,
Yeah,
3%
that
back
much.
then?
I'm not
we
talking
have-
interest.
no,
I'm
we
talking
have
what they
3%,
owe.
And ours hasn't moved that much.
But listen,
Mine did.
listen.
Yours did? Yeah. Okay, so we went off of Tori's numbers because Tori just did this.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
my loan was for like 205, I think. My payment was 1,200 a month with like a 3% interest rate and I'm down to like 175.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Wow.
the
Well,
one
what
seventy-three
did
is
you
off of
put
the
down?
But
two.
did you do, how long, how many years of a mortgage did you have? Was it a 30-year mortgage?
This is my 3rd year.
But it's a
It's a
15-year or
30-year
30-year.
amortization.
Was it 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage?
Did you, I thought you didn't put any money down. Did you put money down?
Was 203 your sales price or your loan
That
amount?
was my loan. 203 was my loan amount. I put money down, but 203 is my loan.
That's where we came up with the 7. Now, correct me. This is your chance to tell me exactly what they have in the house. And I was hoping Sarah would be here today because she would know.
Here, I'm pulling
She was
up,
supposed to
I'm
be
pulling
here.
up an amortization
Yeah,
calculator.
tell me, because you're still gonna love what the numbers are.
All right, what was their interest rate? What do you think?
3%.
What is it?
3%.
That's
3%,
right,
okay.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, we got our house in 2016, is that right? 4, 6, 7, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and we gutted it, remodeled it, the whole works, and we bought it for 125.5. And the house diagonal from me, they just gutted it, remodeled it and sold it for 310. We put 20% down on ours and within 4 years, we had $40,000 left to pay.
Yeah, but you guys threw extra money at it.
Well,
You made.
I know,
it-
but not
I mean,
everybody's doing
because we
that.
were paying a
Right, okay,
$600.
so, but I just wanna know, what I wanna know is what do I owe on this house if I bought it in 2020 with a 3% interest rate? For 203, what do I owe?
All right, I have your answer.
Depends on
So
what you put down.
203,000 was the loan amount, no money down.
Yep.
30-year term, 3% interest rate.
Uh-huh.
Their payment would be $856 a month. 348 of that would have gone towards principal. It's been about 40 months since
Uh-huh.
February of 2020.
Uh-huh.
They would have paid down $13,920.
Okay, so what's 203 minus 13,000?
190.
190.
So they owe 190. Do we still like these numbers, guys? Just out of
Well, let's find out.
curiosity. Okay, so 276 minus 190 is what?
86,000.
They're gonna pay 16,560 in commissions.
That was the 24
She
grand,
did
Yeah, I did
87.
all that. I just want to know what this number minus
Yeah.
this number is.
Yeah.
86,000.
$86,000. How much of that did they earn by putting money into it?
If they
Zero.
just maintained and it
Time
didn't go
into it.
down, yeah.
Time living there,
Yeah.
but they didn't make any extra payments. They walked in with no equity because they had a VA loan, so there's zero down.
Even,
Appreciation,
Now they can buy a $400,000 house and put 20% down.
even if you account their $30,000, right, that they paid in mortgage payments, they still walked away with $56,000.
Yeah, but you can't count the whole payment, because if they were renting an apartment, they would have still paid money to rent.
They
But they didn't get it back. So I
they
mean,
were
you know.
renting before,
Yeah.
right?
So I mean, even so, though, that's a bunch of money that they did really nothing for, right?
They just lived in a house.
Close to.
They made a good investment. They made a good
Life-changing.
investment at a right time, right?
How much debt could you pay off? Could you buy yourself a new car and get rid of a car payment? Could you eliminate credit card debt, get yourself into something better? I mean,
Right, but here's my next question. Oh, but we're tied into 3%. I can't ever leave that interest rate. You really think that that's the real objection here? Or maybe they have fear, right? Because they settled for a house once. Maybe things didn't go great, but if you show them the path in this map of, well, you're sitting on $86,000. What does that do for you? Right? Okay, so our numbers are gonna be slightly different just because we went off of the 173. So can I go to the next point of this real quick? Is that cool, guys? Okay. Is this a value? Are you learning something today?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
I love
Then I'll
math,
keep going.
sorry.
I hate it, so.
I know.
Okay, so we're, with the 173, we came up with like 103,000, okay? It's a bit different than the just under 90 we came up with, but in the grand scheme of things, $100,000, $87,000, you're still life-changing money, yeah? Money that you didn't have to earn by going to a 9-to-5 job every day.
Because that's their.
Because you
debt.
made your money work for you. You invested your money into a safer savings, right? True? Okay, this is the path that you have to get your buyers to get to, or to get your sellers to get to, more importantly, because this is a seller's market. Agree or disagree? We have less than 3 months of inventory. We're certainly not balanced.
On rural versus city.
Yeah. We'll get to that later. All right, so at 203,000, at a 3% with zero down, we were looking at about a $1,300 a month payment with PMI and all those other fun things, interest, taxes, things like that, right? So we were looking at a payment of $1,365. That's the payment. That's what matters. This number right here doesn't mean jack shit. Okay, this is what really matters. So you have to get them to understand that, all right?
Let me stop you right there. That's all the time. That's what that's how people buy cars off of a monthly payment. They buy houses off a monthly payment. If you can show them how they can afford it, they will buy it.
It makes sense, right? So seller net sheets are really important so they understand what they're going after. Walking them through the math and understanding the math. And again, guys, this is just a haphazard example just to get you to understand, okay? Yes.
Well, I think that Nate's making a really good point. I think sometimes as agents, we want to say that that's not my part of it. But sometimes we do have to have the patience to go through those numbers with them. I have somebody that we've been looking at 230 homes. We're not finding anything that they want. So we looked at a 260 new construction. We did all the math. We called the insurance agent. We estimated what the taxes would be by looking at past comps. We did all the numbers and then they realized we can't afford this. And it'll be better to walk into this new construction home than to buy the 230 and then spend 20 or 30,000 to get it where we want it. So sometimes we have to go the extra mile, even though it feels like we're not the lender. It's not my job to budget for people. It's hard, but if we take the time to help them walk through that.
And go to the math that
It
we do.
isn't our responsibility.
We
Ultimately,
can't
they have
tell
to do the
them
math
what
and
interest
they have
rate
to
they're gonna
decide,
qualify
right?
for. That's not our job.
No.
But we can take the interest rate and work the numbers.
What their monthly payment is gonna be at 230 and at 260, and then take those
And
numbers to
that's,
the client.
that's the thing, is the difference in the payment is minimal. It really is.
It really is about.
I don't know what it is. It's like $10,000, $100 a month
Yeah,
or
it's
something
a
like
couple
that,
hundred
right?
extra. Yeah.
Okay, so
Hey,
let's,
Shanna, can I just say something real quick?
maybe I lose my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
We're on a roll.
No, I'll write it down. I can say it
No, no,
later.
no, say it.
I have spent probably the last year and a half in real estate, letting my own opinion about things interject into what my clients do too much. I finally realized that. I have some clients right now actually that bought a house that they didn't really like during the pandemic, and now they're
Wait, a
looking-
real life story of this?
Really life story.
Don't make it
We're
up, guys.
looking at new houses for them to buy. And one of them is a really beautiful home in an awesome subdivision. And it's the backyard, there's high voltage power lines. Me personally, I would not live there because of the high voltage power lines. But you know, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not a scientist. To me, I think you'll get cancer by living under high voltage.
Don't come to my
power.
backyard.
But I don't know that for a fact. And at the end of the day, the clients can see there's high voltage power lines in the backyard and there's a row of 20 other houses that people are fine living there. So it's like, I finally caught myself and it's like, stop, Nate. If they love the house and they want to buy it and they can see that there's power lines, I'm not hiding the power lines from them.
Don't
Let them
look
buy the,
over there.
let them buy the house.
You're professionals.
So I love that point, and it took me a while to get there too, because I'd be like, you don't want this, let's go, I'm the professional, you don't want this, and that's not the case, right? But what I would do is say, it would bother me, is it gonna bother you? No, you love it, I love it, let's move on,
Well,
love that.
at the end of the day, there's a family for every house out there. You know,
Yeah.
there's every house that's built, there's no house that was built, new construction 10 years ago that's sitting vacant. So like, who am I to judge who should or shouldn't live in that particular house?
Yeah.
So,
Can I also note, though, that this just made me realize this whole class, though, I've been wondering what's going on with the buyers lately, and it's just that they all got burned. And they're pickier now because of their 3% interest rate, and they are shopping around more, like, you know, you'll have showing and you won't hear from them for a week, but that doesn't mean that they're not interested anymore. They're just pickier now, and that's because they all got burned, and so. this kind of
Maybe
made
they
me
didn't even get
realize-
in the house because the houses were going for $30,000-$40,000 over.
Yeah.
It was not a good experience. When you have a bad experience, are you a little gun shy?
Yeah.
Typically, you have to ask more questions and get to know your people instead of being hurrying to get to the deal, right? We're in a relationship
Schedule
business.
15 showings, like.
and the more people feel like you're shoving them down a certain path, the less likely they are to want to go down that path.
Because we're not selling them something. We're helping them get to where they want to be, right? We're all on the same page there. And if we can make money doing it, great.
Or sometimes you just send the inspector to the thingy and they help you just kill it because you try to advise them that it's a really bad buy. And
Well,
you have to send it for
sometimes we do
3.5
know
hours
when
away.
it's not great, and
Just
we do
saying.
our very best, but, okay, private story. I had people, I get too emotionally attached. They were my friends. I felt like it was not a good move, and I tried to kill this deal so bad, and they love it. Oh my God, they're still there today. They're so happy.
Doesn't a piece of it drive you nuts too?
Yeah, I'm like, I know I'm right deep down. I know you got a raise and now you're making all the money and you can afford it, but there was a time where I was really concerned I was gonna have to make a payment for you. All right, so back to this, okay. So let's say my math was right, even though it wasn't, but whatever, for fun. We're sitting on $103,000, okay? Our payment is $113.65, and we love this number 3 so much that we're gonna stay in this house we don't love forever because we're tied to 3%. Okay, but I really need to upgrade. I really need more space. Can a 350 buy me maybe what I want? Maybe? Can we get a new construction for 350? I think so.
maybe not bigger than your existing house.
Maybe
though.
not, maybe not. Maybe I just don't want an old house anymore with a big old tree that could come crashing down on me.
Maybe
Hey,
different
but-
floor
That's a
plan.
real
So
fear,
we're
guys.
buying a 265 in Bolivar with the new roof. We'll still put them and the fence, everything they want, 310. And so they're still making out with cash, being able to do that immediately, and they get 4,777 square feet out of it. So,
There we go,
yeah.
right? You got to think bigger.
Mhm.
So this 350, does it exist in our market today? Yeah. Do we have more inventory today than we had when we bought that house? Yeah. Is it less volatile? Do we have time to actually sit and think about things and make sure we love what we're doing? Maybe even a second showing? I don't know, maybe, right? Okay, so we're gonna buy a 350, but oh my God, I don't wanna buy it at 6%. That's a yucky number. Ugh. But this time I have money to put down. I have 20% down. 20% is what? 70K, right?
And it gets rid of PMI.
So I lose $100-something a month in PMI, right?
300.
Is it 3?
Yeah.
That's what ours is. Our payment would be
What?
900 versus the 1365 almost that it is.
Refinance.
All right, so
I can't, I have to.
private mortgage insurance, okay, you definitely, when you can put 20% down, get rid of that extra payment.
Hey, explain
It's a car
what
payment.
PMI is to.
Private
everyone that
mortgage
doesn't.
insurance, so when you don't have 20% equity in your house, meaning I put 20% down, they make you pay more. It's a mortgage
No, I know.
insurance,
Just wanted to make sure everyone else-
right?
Thank you for that, Nate.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Right, because we hear it, but we don't really know what it is. That's not a great example, but that's the layman's way I can say it. I'm not a
No,
lender.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I just had a client fight for connection.
If we're doing math. I think, I know it's.
Oh, Cameron's about to lose his mind because he's a finance guy. He's like, I don't like your numbers, Shanna. These aren't exact.
I just want to know how much the PMI usually costs.
Pull it up. I thought anywhere between $100 to $300, depending on your house, depending on your circumstances.
Oh, well, so for example, I looked up, it would be like 960 something and mine's 1365 roughly. So it saved me almost $400 by doing PM or getting rid of PMI. I can't get rid
Yeah,
of it.
you want to get rid of that. And I will tell you, side
It's
note,
life-changing, really.
the PMI drops off. Once you've been in your house long enough and made enough payments that you get 20% equity in your house, the PMI drops off, but it's not
Oh,
that
not
day.
automatically.
It's like a calendar amount of
You have to
time.
call them and
Ask for it. You have to call them and ask.
That's some
They
shit.
won't just drop it off.
So
Yeah.
could you potentially use that as a like a advocation point for selling your home? Be like, listen, if you put 20% down, you're saving yourself this amount of money per month. How much is your car payment right now? Like, most people have a car payment.
$400 would cover my. car payment.
$400 would cover easily a standard car payment, not like a luxury car or sports car,
You gotta
but
think bigger. That's a
you
great
cut-
point.
You still cut your
You get more, you
expenses in half.
cover your car payment, you get rid of PMI. Why
And you
not
get in the
sell?
house, and you get in the house you wanna get in, maybe?
Mhm.
But the only way you can get there is by what, guys? No, but yeah, but no.
Selling or refinancing, but if you have a government loan, like a FHA loan, the PMI never drops off unless you refinance or move.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But we are
Okay.
going conventional this route, guys,
Right.
just so you know.
That's the whole point.
All right, so now,
Point is you get to go conventional in the next one.
the answer to my question was you ask more questions, you get to know your client. But yes, okay, cool. All right, so we've got this money, 103,000. Or 87 if you want to be exact, Cameron and Nate. Do I have $70,000 to put into this house? Okay, cool. So then if I'm buying a 350 at a 6% rate, putting 20% down, my new payment is $21.95, give or take. I'm upgrading my life. So we just got to figure out how to make that go to this in a comfortable manner, right? Can you do this? Is this the right price point for us? Is this the right move for us? The answer may be yes, the answer may be no. In 4 years, they could be like my friends and be making twice as much as they were making back then, and this number makes sense. What's the difference between 1365 and 2195?
830.
Okay, $830 a month. Are there ways to get this lower?
Yeah, you can buy.
You can buy points, right? You can do lots of different things. Is buying points for everybody? No. Could it be for someone? Yeah, it could be for someone. In a short term, it might work for somebody. Not always, but I just want to put it out there that there's options. You can put more money into this because you've got extra money to lower this payment, right? So is it fair to say that there's equity on the table that could change their life?
Hey, I have another idea too. If they kept the $33,000 in their bank account
Mhm.
and every month they took the $800 out, they've got like 3 to 4 years of being able to supplement and still effectively have the same payment. And then
Make
what
pencil
are the,
payments.
what are the chances that interest
You
rates
guys
will go down?
Clap your hands, because that's the smartest thing I've heard in a while,
I love that.
right? He's got enough money that was not earned by working a job, just sitting in his bank account, that he can lower the end game by putting that into it every month, right? Whether you plug it into principal, whatever, or just hold it in reserves and make your payments, right? You have to be bigger thinkers. That's really smart. But you've got to paint the picture of how it works and how it doesn't work. Am I clear as mud?
Well, and then also like, what are the chances that interest rates go below 6% over the next 3 years?
What are the
Like, pretty
chances
high.
that three
Pretty
fifty
high.
doesn't turn into 450
What
or
is
something?
350 and 5%? Maybe that's closer, what did it say? It's closer to $2,000 a month, right? Because I did that. Because what does it look like when I refi or when it's 6 today, but when I go to lock in, it's 5?
And
Yeah,
what's the
to
price of
me,
the home
A
and
big takeaway was you had done the math that it was like a 1% difference on the interest rate was only like around $100 a month in their payment.
Yeah.
When a lot of people are looking at like 5%, 6%, you know, those numbers.
It's
in
$100,
reality, it's
guys.
Like not.
It's
that big of a
eating out
difference
twice if you're my family, right?
every point one was $100.
Hey, whenever you calculated the payment, did you calculate the payment off of them financing 350 or 280?
350.
But they wouldn't be financing 350 because they would be.
I did it with a mortgage calculator.
70,000 down.
Well, I did a mortgage calculator, 350 with 70% down. Yeah, I did it that way. And came out with these numbers, and these aren't exact, guys. Cameron, are you hearing what I'm saying? These are not exact numbers. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just follow the math, right?
Yeah.
You can create this for them, right? How about this, guys? Let's think about this for a second. What if they actually like their house and they want to stay and it has nothing to do with the rest of this? Can you still help them? How?
They can invest.
Oh, who said that?
Me, because I just did that.
Right? 103,000. I'm sorry. You guys get mad at me. 87,000. Okay? It's $87,000. Have you heard of a HELOC? A cash out refi? I wouldn't refi, just so you know, don't cash out refi. If you got a 3 or a 2%, don't do that. You're gonna be sitting at a 6%. You don't want to do that. That money's not worth it, I promise. However, what you could do is you could do a HELOC, right? And if you don't know anything about a HELOC, learn about it. There's a 10-year draw period and another 10-year payoff or something like that. Again, I am not a lender. I don't know these things. Go find somebody who is. But what does that look like to go buy their first investment property? So they're taking this money, that's phantom money. It doesn't exist. Can they go spend it right now? Can they just say, yep, here I go. I'm gonna go buy a new car.
They could still put that 20% down in a $350,000 property and rent it out for buku.
They could.
Just
Or
saying.
maybe they wanna buy a $50,000 property.
Mhm.
Maybe, and they can just buy it outright with their HELOC, right? But this is fake money because it doesn't exist yet. It's just sitting in their house. So they could go buy something else to invest their money. So then it takes this phantom money into real money because now you've taken it and you've put it into what I call the safe savings account or a home mortgage. Did you guys learn something today? Was it worth me struggling through the math up here?
You didn't struggle, you did great.
Thanks, because we did it earlier.
Yeah.
All right.
100% so proud.
Do we think that there's somebody that you could practice this on? Do we think there's somebody sitting in your pipeline that this would be really beneficial for them to know? It is truly, if you can sit here and tell me $87,000 won't change your life, get out. Because it would change mine, okay? I would maybe buy that vacation property I want, or I don't know, maybe
Go on a vacation.
fine, right? Go see the big trees again. But that money, it doesn't exist until you show it to them. But you have to be the economist of choice and show them the math that makes it work. All right? Does anybody disagree wholeheartedly with anything I've said? And it's totally okay. I welcome it. I will argue with you, but it's fine.
The thing I will interject though is extracting out of them the real reason why they're not interested in looking at another house. That's gonna be the difficult part. Explaining this is great. Most people aren't gonna be that forthcoming with you and say, hey, the reason I don't wanna move is because, you know, they don't feel like they can afford to move or whatever. Most people aren't gonna tell you that.
But that's where you've got to get real keen on knowing who's motivated and who's not. We spend time on the motivated. We don't spend time on the unmotivated.
So with that, like, the motivation factor, is this something that maybe, I mean, dealer's choice, more beneficial to complete like the seller net worksheet with that potential lister, or have it already kind of done comped in advance?
Feel like
You
the
know what I
person,
mean?
if they like math, do it with them. I would
So
say.
I like to always have a seller net sheet with a seller so that we know exactly what we're walking away with. Amy, you do that, don't you?
Mhm.
Yeah, because I don't like for us to get to a offer that they thought, because it was this imaginary like 3%, like, oh, that's just the number. No, I want to actually work through and see what you're gonna do. Because if we get an offer and then it doesn't make sense, what are we doing? We got to know all that math ahead of time, right?
And I'll do, I'll do the kind of an estimated one at the very beginning, but then also if we get multiple offers, I do a spreadsheet that compares all the terms. And then I run a seller's proceed this,
Yeah.
so here's what we thought. And for each one of these offers, here's what it'll actually look like, so they know their bottom line.
Yeah, because they see a number and they're like, yep, we'll do it. And it's like, whoa, are we sure we're gonna do it? Because let's make sure that number makes sense for you.
Right.
Right, and it also helps when you're gonna go to list them so that they know truly what they're gonna walk away with. A lot of people, I know we think this way, oh, most people don't. They don't see it.
Yeah, that was my question, like the loan, I mean, the net sheet estimate in the beginning, like when you're trying to.
When you're trying to win the listing,
Yes. when you're trying to-
it depends on the personality, right? So it's something you should keep in your toolbox and you pull out at the right time. Okay, so every listing appointment you go on is gonna be different. Who's been on a listing appointment? Raise your hand. Is every single one cut and dry the exact same? No, because you're dealing with different kinds of people. So I need to know this person likes graphs. So here's my presentation with the purples and the oranges, and it's beautiful. And look at this. This person just wants to sign. They don't care. I don't care how the clock was made. I want the time. Give it to them. This person has to see the math behind everything that we're doing. So know this. I often will do this after I've already got the listing to make sure that our numbers are in alignment, because I don't want to list. Case in point, I bought a house and I wrote an offer for what they wanted. It was on the market for like a week. I wrote the offer for what it was. First off, they declined it. They just rejected my offer because they didn't do their math ahead of time. So then they raised their sales price because they were walking away losing money at that price that they listed it at. Which I was super pissed, because don't do that. Don't reject an offer, always counter it and explain what you're doing.
Especially, yeah.
Don't let it die in your court. I was so irritated. I was like, I don't even want this house. But then I slept on it and then bought it anyways, but it's totally fine. Different story. Andrea, were you gonna say something? Were you
I
distracted?
did want to say too, I had Mary who, when we gave her the payment of the month in Willard, she was like, well, I can do that. But then she, went away for a couple nights, came back, and she calls me with what was a genius idea. She is 70 years old. She decided to cash out her 401k, save her monthly payment, which is a fixed income. It was $40,000 left in there, something like that, 60. And she added it to that, paid off, more of the loan balance, and was able to cut down her loan. So if they are older, that is an option too. And it was something I hadn't thought of, but I was like, that's genius. That saves your fixed income.
I think the
So-
average age expectancy is about 72 now, isn't it?
No,
She had a quick-
no, the average life expectancy of a woman is like 86 and a
Yeah.
male
I
is
thought it was
like
72. I just read this.
No.
72, that is depressing.
I know. I was closing in on that pretty quick. I thought it was 72. I read that somewhere. Google it. It's out there somewhere, friends. It's probably the TikToks. That's probably where I heard it. All right.
But hey, on her question as
Yeah.
well, if you give someone too much information, then they're not gonna make a decision. They're gonna, okay, we gotta think about this.
Know your audience, right?
Yes, very much so.
Women's life expectancy was 79.
I was
In
kidding.
2021, men's is 73.
Men's is 73.
2020 said 77, 28. So wait, what year were you? 21, so we went down,
I'm
down.
living in the past, okay, guys? I knew that number existed somewhere.
2020 that
I
made it
could
go
have, I
down.
would have.
I read headlines, I don't read the whole article. All right.
Hey, 2020 made it go down.
Yeah.
What questions, what kind of questions did this make you guys?
That is
Justin,
very
What do you think?
depressing.
right now, what's going through your head?
Sorry, you talking to me?
You are Justin.
Yeah, there's multiple.
There's no other
Justins.
Justin in this room, it's
No?
Justin
Okay,
here.
good.
Justin.
Yeah, Justin.
Justin's online, you're Justin here, though.
Oh, got you. I'm sorry, I mean, it sounds good to me. You know?
That's what I like, just agree with me. Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's good. I mean, you know, it's good to answer any objection they have. I mean, if you're going to, you know, front people, I guess.
Well, it is more just know your stuff, right? Like, be ready to have these conversations and it's okay. See, I didn't even say bad words.
He said hi.
left out.
Justin, hi, you should have been here today. Evan, what did you get from today? Let me hear some ahas. Let me make myself feel good about myself.
So I need to get better at math.
Oh, me too, brother.
Just get yourself an Excel spreadsheet you can plug the numbers into every time. You don't have to be great at math.
Can we do like a team net sheet or something like that?
Absolutely. I've actually got an Excel that I can share in our Google wonderful Fairy Drive.
Yes.
You know, hey,
It's beautiful.
Justin, is he in, what do I always say to you when you ask me a question? Did you check the drive? I think it's in there. All right. Who else? Who else got something today? Justin, what you got? Check the drive. Gosh, I love you. A year with me and yes, we've got it figured out. Emmy, what did you take away from today?
What Amy said about doing the seller net sheet for each offer that you get.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. I never thought about
They
that.
have to know what they're walking away with, right? And at time, it's very overwhelming, right? It's like all these things are happening. They don't know what's going on. Are we in a market that we're still gonna see multiple offers? Sometimes, if you price it right. If you price it right, it's not a rule. Yes, no, we're still seeing it, right? In those highly sought after areas. What else? Christina, what'd you get today?
Basically the math, I mean, and looking at, not only looking at the comps of the houses that may have sold in the neighborhood, but also doing the percent, you know, the 4% and the 12 and the 7%, just to see where, you know, using all three methods, square footage, the neighborhood comps.
You small and get to a number.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all of
absolutely.
them. Yeah.
There's no
Double
exact
check
science.
yourself.
I can't sit here and say, Nathan, this is how you're gonna run comps, and you use these three metrics to get there. No, you've gotta go through the path of the math yourself.
Mhm.
You've gotta make it make sense to where you can then articulate it to other people. That's what we said during our comps class that we taught, right? And you know the housing market's gonna continue to go up, right? It's not gonna get any cheaper than it is today. So there's another reason. If you're motivated, that speaks to you. If you're not motivated to do anything, that probably doesn't mean anything.
So Shannon, let's talk about that. I feel like that's the biggest objective I get from people is, well, we're gonna wait and see if house prices go down. I just, every time
How long
someone
are you
says
willing to
that, I just
wait?
wanna bang my head
How long are
against
you
the
willing to
door.
wait?
I mean, I
that
don't
means
wanna
that when
wait.
they're selling
It's
goes
not
down
my,
too.
No, but if that's you, how long are you willing to wait for those prices to go down? Go find a graph that shows that they're not, right? Some people have to see it different ways. I have a graph that I can actually share with you that shows the trend lines, comes straight from Gary Keller. And I don't argue with Gary. So I would ask, how long are you willing to wait?
And I love the point that you made, you know, just net that money, the 30K, right? Put it in the bank account, pay your mortgage for 3 years and see what happens because you are sitting on that money. I love that. That was a great point.
well, I've got a real life example. I've got some clients that I've been working with. Showed them a few houses they're renting right now and they've decided that they're going to wait. And it's like, I'm a pretty good negotiator. I can talk them in to buying a house. But the problem is, if someone isn't truly ready and then they feel like I'm trying to talk them into it, now all of a sudden, they're not only are they not gonna buy a house, but they're not gonna use Nathan when they really are ready.
Mhm.
So I would rather be ready in the sidelines to help them when they finally get past their mental hangup of not being ready.
Is it talking them into it or presenting them with facts?
No, but I know, but some people, They don't want to
It
hear
Depends on the
facts.
person. If they're motivated, it's facts. If it's not motivated, it's you're talking them into it.
Yes.
So you're not gonna like this, but you're gonna have to put them on the sidelines until they're ready.
That's what I did.
And
You know,
that's-
and that's what it is. It's, you can spend all the time in the world working with the unmotivated. And I've done it. And they just wear you out, and that's where the crash and burn comes from, or the burning it at both ends. Stop, just stop. If they're not ready, you're fine with that. Move on to somebody who is, right? And we're not psychologists, right? We can't really dig and dissect and get in there and diagnose and, well, I found that the reason you won't buy is because your dad didn't ever want to buy a house and now we're triggered by the idea of real estate, right? Like whatever that is, we're not probably gonna get there. But we can be a good human to a human and have a real conversation and say, I'm here when you're ready. And I can ask a couple questions to see if I can uncover the actual thing that's going on. Or I can say, okay, hey, when you're ready, call me. And I'm gonna stay in contact with you because I'm a good person and I like to communicate with people in my database. But until it makes sense for them, it doesn't, right? And there are people who just like to argue and they have to be right. Let them be right. Okay, you go be right. Well, I'm laughing at you because you were waiting 10 years for the housing market to crash, which is not going to happen. Or you're waiting 10 years for those prices to go down, which isn't going to happen. Or for that magic unicorn interest rate, which maybe it happens, but wouldn't it be cooler if you bought the house you wanted to buy for way cheaper and then refinanced when the interest rate went down? Just a thought.
Well, and maybe send them a little snippet, you know, every now and then that, hey, just FYI, so you're aware of the housing market. It's went up 7% so far this year,
Show them
as you've been.
the facts, put it in a graph. Go find the graph, go put it out there and say, I respectfully disagree. With a smile.
What was the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, what you guys were talking about, presenting the facts and things. So say someone's not ready to buy yet, you're like, you know, like, yeah, like, I'll keep in touch if you don't mind, like, can send you email updates once or twice a month, and then you send things like that, and then you kind of get them like on their own time. You're not talking to them, but they get to see, and they're
Yes.
like, okay, Nate was right. I think I should list my house.
Well, I
That's where
think
the
like on the
neighborhood
smart
nurture comes
plan.
into play. Absolutely.
people love ideas when they're the one that thought of it. So if you can like guide them to making the decision on their own, rather than shove the decision down their throat, then.
Can I call you out for a second, Evan?
Yeah, sure.
Didn't you have this really great idea recently that you should time block things on your calendar?
That's probably me.
Yeah, that was totally you. Yeah. And we got there because I was asking some questions that made you realize that that's what you need to do, right? But I didn't tell you you had to do that, right? Ask
What
questions.
were it was like the Ds of motivate, like they're gonna buy regardless, they're
Ds.
gonna have to buy
Yep.
or sell
Okay.
always.
Death, divorce, diapers, diamonds, and diplomas. Those are the 5 Ds of moving. Look at your social media and go find the people that have got a D in their life and go make friends.
Especially the diapers, wasn't it? Who was it who came about a month ago and he said that first-time mothers are the biggest buyers in our entire economy? I loved that meeting with him, but you know, it's true. I mean, first-time moms, they're gonna be buying the cribs, they're gonna be buying the house, they're gonna be
Babies
buying the
have
new
so
car.
many places to lay their bodies.
Yes.
It takes up all the space in the house.
Well, and you know, the car doesn't work anymore, and so they're doing all these things, and so if you can get in ahead
Is
of
it
that.
not true? My ex-husband was like, how many places does Jax need to sit? I was like, all of them.
Justin.
And then also-
His
Hey,
yeah. For you, right?
read
Yeah.
Justin's comment.
What was it?
Do I have to?
Yeah.
Big Ds.
Yes. Those are big Ds. Yep, moving on. This is a Christian establishment. Thank you very much. That was all. But
an exclamation point.
Does it-
very excited about.
does it make sense? Do you have somebody in your social media or in your life that is experiencing ED of some sort?
I can't now, I'm sorry.
We're so immature. Right? Sam, do you have somebody that might fit for? Yes. Do we think we maybe need to pay a little closer attention to that person and what they're doing? Yes. Yeah, okay. If you walk away with nothing else today, go find the Ds out there, okay?
No, it's true. It's really true. Because I think a lot of times, like I've even heard in my friends' life, they're like, the baby starts coming soon and they're like, no, never mind. We're having a baby. It's not a good time. And then they called me when the baby was 2 months. And
Yeah.
it's like,
2 months is the magic number.
you can't
guys.
even imagine moving with a baby that small, but like they saw the bigger house and
And becomes a need, and you've
Yeah.
put an idea in their
They do
head,
it
and
anyway.
now that's what's going on. You've planted a seed. Go
I've got
water.
another D, and that's disease. I have someone who, their daughter
Oh,
was
that's
just
true.
diagnosed with something, so they're moving to a bigger city to be
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
the doctors that they need. So,
Doctors, yeah.
healthcare of any kind.
Yeah, that's a good one. So 60s.
Or disability too. I
Yeah.
guess we've had some people that are looking at relocating just for,
Maybe
you
they
know,
need bigger
services.
hallways.
Walk-in showers.
I mean.
These are all things. By the way, guys, if you do come across a
Downsizing.
listing that is handicap accessible, you better market the crud out of that, because there is not a lot of those, okay? And when people are looking for those, as a buyer's agent looking for that, there is no easy button to click it. You literally have to ask all the questions and handpick the options and look at the pictures and go preview all the houses. So if you've got that, make sure it's well known that that's handicap accessible, okay?
You need somebody to see if it's handicap
Yeah,
accessible.
she's your girl.
Somebody.
Cool. Are we good? You guys want to play a fun game? Yeah, you do. All right, for those of you online, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off because it's gonna get loud in here. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Go do something big.
Next time, show up in person.
Please.